Hey everybody, welcome to The Bottom Line. I'm Michael Noland. Tonight we're going to talk about a band that I have labeled as nothing more than a tribute band. A band that is pretty much made up of individuals that have nothing to do with the greater name of that band. And of course, tonight I'm talking Foreigner. All right, so let's go ahead and turn our attention to an interview that Jeff Pilson gave regarding Foreigner's plans on their farewell tour. The interview starts off by saying, in a new interview with Ethan Demetrius, Foreigner bassist Jeff Pilson was asked how he and his bandmates came to the decision to embark on what is being billed as the group's farewell tour. In response, he was quoted as saying, well, Kelly Hansen, came to me a couple of years ago and said he wanted to start winding down. And I said, yeah, I get that. I totally get that. So when he discussed it with Mick Jones, of course, guitarist and founder of Foreigner, and kind of worked a plan out to go forward. So yeah, I was in on it fairly early. Like I say, it started with Kelly, mainly because he feels like it's getting more difficult every year for him to sing this catalog of songs. I mean, these are really rough songs to sing. And he doesn't want to be the guy that goes up there and sucks. That's not in his blood, which I respect a lot. And so he said, look, I need to get out because I want to go out before my vocals do. And I get that. So that was kind of where it all started. Now, keep in mind, Jeff is saying this happened a couple of years ago. And of course, this was at the time that Mick Jones was still showing up occasionally anyway at Foreigner concerts, being the very last original member of that band. But as these couple of years have unfolded, we've seen less and less of Mick Jones and more of the Foreigners that are laying claim to this band name. But not to worry, because Pilson clarified further by saying that Foreigner is not going away. He says, we're not falling off the face of the earth. We're just not going to be doing the 9 and 10-month tours like we used to. But we're still around, and you'll still hear us. Now, dig this. The article goes on like we all knew this all along by saying, asked how he and Foreigner bandmates prepare for what could be a 3-year farewell tour, Pilson said, well, because we're looking at it like, well, let's just see what happens. We know, for instance, that the next year we're going to do some shows, but we're gonna do a lot less. So we just kind of sit down and say, well, how long do we want to go? When do we want to go? How many shows do we want to do? And that way we can finally wind it down nicely over the next few years. Now keep in mind, this is 2024. He's talking well into the year 2027. And what does he have to say why they call this a farewell tour? He says, but then again, we call it a farewell tour because this is the last time we're going to really be touring. Now, of course, in April, it was announced that Foreigner, the rock band, had finally been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But I can tell you something, folks. None of these guys are going to be in that induction. There's not going to be a Jeff Pilson or a Kelly Hansen in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, but thanks to Mick Jones, they do have a lien on the name. Now, I've called Foreigner in the past in videos nothing more than a tribute band. But you know, the more I think about it, that's giving them too much lip service. Any good-sized town or city that you live in the United States anyway, probably has a great Foreigner tribute band. You know, these bands are usually named after one of Foreigner's hits, right? And you can get in and hear a great rendition of their songs for about $50 or less. But this incarnation charges top dollar at their concerts, and they have the rights to the artwork, the name, all of the stuff that goes with identifying Foreigner as Foreigner. Despite what I've said in the past, folks, that's not a tribute band. That would be giving them credit. This is nothing more than a franchise band. You know what franchise bands are. How about ABBA as Avatars, Kiss as Avatars? Nothing more than a franchise name, and none of them are showing up actually on stage. Instead, we have avatars doing the shows. Another good example of a franchise band is the Eagles. The Eagles have one member left, that's Don Henley, and he doesn't even bother to do his own vocals anymore. The man is lip syncing. And when it comes to farewell tours, the Eagles are equally as guilty as Foreigner themselves. What is it about today's concert goers that have a problem with mortality? They willingly pay exorbitant prices to see these kinds of bands, most of them not even really aware that the band they're seeing is chock full of people that weren't even on the records. But they see the Foreigner font, they hear the Foreigner songs, and the band does sound a bit like Foreigner. I mean, these bands even show up in the same cities and venues that they've already showed up on in their current farewell tours. Now, the problem I have with franchise bands is that they're too freaking Hollywood for me. You know what I mean. Either a movie or a movie franchise is done, they let it sit for about 10 or 15 years, and they find a brand new actor to play Harry Potter. And that's fine. I'm an old comic book fan, you know what? And I would love a certain artist, and then I used to collect the Avengers when I was a kid, right? And I loved John Buscema as an artist. And then his brother, Sal, would come in and start drawing the magazine, and it would look slightly different. But after all, a comic book superhero team like Foreigner is nothing more than a franchise. And even at 9 years old, I knew that then. Robert Downey Jr.'s tired of playing Iron Man? Get another actor. Lou Gramm is past his prime. We'll get a brand new singer called Kelly Hansen. But you see, to me, these rock bands were so much more than just a franchise, so much more than just a fictional creation. They were a group of individuals who got together, chose a common name, whatever that name was, and made that name stand for the collective of musicians that put out the music. But with this version of Foreigner, we just get a new group of actors, and guess what? Those actors are aging out. I mean, that's what Kelly Hansen's talking about, going out before his voice gives out. And what will be the result after 2027 when these guys finally throw the towel in? Get ready for Foreigner 3, folks, starring Sylvester Stallone, coming to a theater near you. You know, most of these fans that go see these bands don't have their albums, aren't really familiar with the album cuts. They know the hits. They've heard them on the radio. They might even have a greatest hits album of their favorite acts, and they'll go see them based on their hits alone. That, and the fact that if they're willing to pay the extra bucks to see this fake band at cocktails, they can brag that they went to see Foreigner. Well, not at my cocktail party. If you show up at that party and claim that you've seen Foreigner, get ready to be challenged by me in front of every single person in that room. I mean, I would have loved to see Led Zeppelin play with Jason Bonham for that last show in 2007. I would have paid anything to see them because I'm that big a fan. But I can guarantee you one thing, folks, if I had got to see them, I wouldn't be bragging that I actually saw Led Zeppelin. My last shot at seeing Led Zeppelin was back in the 70s when John Bonzo Bonham was still alive. I paid for those tickets and Led Zeppelin canceled their tour. That was my last shot at ever claiming to see Led Zeppelin live. If I see Robert Plant live these days with Alison Krauss and they do a couple of Led Zeppelin cuts, usually reworkings, I wouldn't lay claim to have seen Led Zeppelin then either. And don't forget that back in 2022, Mick Jones was still showing up, usually for no longer than 45 minutes at a time, and well into the show, just to kind of give them a sense of validity. He's long since quit showing up for those shows. He's not in the physical condition to play live anymore. As a matter of fact, if it was up to me, I'd pay to go see Lou Gramm and his band and his vocals that aren't as pristine as they used to be, rather than to go see this incarnation of what they're calling Foreigner, because at least with Lou Gramm's band, there is one member of Foreigner in that band, and yet they don't call themselves Foreigner. So in the end, as far as I'm concerned, to call Foreigner a tribute band anymore is giving them too much credit. Tribute bands are honest. They are telling you, we are not Foreigner, but we play like Foreigner and sound just like them. That's an honest statement. But when this fake Foreigner gets up there, they have the fonts, they have the artwork, they have the license, they have all the rights to a name they didn't earn. And to top it all off, these guys are starting to age out, and you've got to wonder, what's the big deal? Why are people so willing to pay for what they're not getting? All right, so my question to the tribe tonight is a real simple one, and this goes out to you folks who have been paying to see this incarnation of Foreigner. I really do want to hear what you guys think and how you justify this band to carry on that name. Is it that Mick Jones has the right to the name and he can claim anybody to be Foreigner? I don't agree with that. Mick Jones was wonderful in his day, and when he teamed up with Lou Gramm, they were unstoppable. But Foreigner was not even just those two guys. It was a collection of musicians that had a common goal in mind, a common sound, and they made hit after hit after hit. You know, the hits that these clones are playing right in front of you for 10 times the price it would cost you to see a similar band who even sounds better at this point, with even a younger singer. All right, so now I haven't been covering the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a whole lot this year, and I'll tell you why. First of all, when they announced Foreigner and their announcements in this last go-around, I noticed that this was almost an apology list, and I wasn't gonna fall for it. Plus, I was waiting to see if Foreigner, because there was no news, well, who in Foreigner is going to be inducted. When I finally found out that it is really the classic rock band Foreigner that's being inducted, I was at least a little relieved. But then again, you know, I don't have a lot of respect for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. As many of you know, I've done tons of videos on that ludicrous outfit. But when even the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame knows the logic in inducting only the members who made the music, you know there's something going on with the collective acceptance of the tour audience these days. Now, concert goers have always been a tad on the young side. I'm not saying that people in my generation don't go to rock concerts anymore. They do. But they aren't the people these bands are aiming at, which, by the way, they that I'm talking about, me, We are their original fans. And when a band, nothing more than a franchise band, starts taking aim at a younger set of audience goers, then, in my opinion, a lot of what makes them that band starts to disappear. I'm tired of fake guess who's. I'm fed up with featherless eagles. I'm done with a de young less sticks. And I am so done with Foreigner. All right, folks, that's the video for tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. That helps with the YouTube algorithm to kind of push the video into people's home feeds a bit more. The channel grows, the video gets more views, the channel benefits, and I always appreciate your guys' support. I can't say that enough. And like a lot of my viewers who view my videos but haven't subscribed to the channel, all I can say is please consider doing so. It's so easy. Just hit that subscribe to the tribe button, tap that top bell icon, and you'll be notified of all my future videos. That thing you always have to tap. Otherwise, you gotta wait for them to show up on your feed. All right, I'm Michael Noland. This is The Bottom Line. And once again, the bottom line as I see it. The bottom line for the channel is always in the comments. I encourage you folks to read the comments. Everybody's talking because that's where we become the tribe. That's where we are the tribe.